Alright everyone, how you guys doing? Welcome to Apple Weekly, number 57, the show of course where I cover everything Apple, both on YouTube and iTunes. Before getting on with the stories, highly recommend checking out igear.com because we have our first sale going on right this moment, right this second. Saturday and Sunday, well most of Saturday's gone, 10% off all the vests, and now's a good time, especially for those of you in the UK, free UK delivery. What else could you want? Go over and check it out. Now getting on to the stories, to be honest there weren't many stories this week apart from, of course, the iPad 3, and we'll get on to that at the end of the show, but apart from that there hasn't been much. Tim Cook replies to a customer the good old Steve Jobs way. He's adding more words than SJ himself did. I think a few more characters. But customer asked him when Siri's coming to Italy. He said it's coming this year, for sure. This next story probably got me more excited than the actual iPad 3 event, simply because it involved liquid metal. Of course, we were expecting to see the new cases for the MacBook Pros in 2011. It didn't happen. There were rumours, strong rumours, but it didn't happen. But Liquid Metal officially announced that they have started to ship their parts to the companies, and of course Apple has the kind of intellectual property rights for, you know, how many years. So now that they've kind of officially started shipping, it's got me excited for the next upcoming MacBook Pros, MacBook Airs, who knows, iMacs. Whether this company has started shipping out to other companies now and Apple has had a head start and they're building Macs hopefully and we'll see them this year, we don't really know. Although we do know they have reused some of these parts already in the iPhone for the SIM trays and so on. Now the benefit of liquid metal is that it's lighter, stronger, and the parts are corrosion resistant, but just the general lifespan of not only the external but even some of the internal parts, if they choose to use the liquid metal stuff, it'll just be more stronger. And hey, aren't we all sick of the aluminium MacBooks? Just putting the word out there because I know you feel the same way. iOS 5.1 was also announced at the event. I would highly recommend every single one of you go out there and get it. So it's got the new kind of camera movement thing, which is much better than the previous one. Most importantly, better battery life. I have noticed it myself, both on the iPad and the 4S. It is better, and some of you also tweeted it and sent me messages saying, hey, you know, battery life has definitely increased, and this guy compared his 3GS and 4G and whatnot. The battery life is definitely great and solves some bug issues, addresses some bug issues and Wi-Fi issues, so it's a must. It's a free application, OTA-ness, over the air, that's what it stands for. Go get it. And if you happen to stay in Europe and you have not placed an order for an iPad 3, you're going to be disappointed because, well hey, lo and behold, demand strong. iPad 3s have kind of, the initial batch has been sold out, so if you're late, the only way you're going to get it on launch is if you queue up or pay ridiculous amounts on eBay. But the initial allocation seems to be sold out because the shipping times have slipped. So good luck to you, sir. And then moving on to the iPad event, just kind of going to go over some of the stuff that they went over. I'm not going to go over the specs because if you don't know right now, right this moment in time, as to what went down, then don't know what to say. I just want to kind of analyse or talk about what, you know, what I thought or what I made of the event, my thoughts on it. And hopefully in the comments, if you agree, disagree, you know, feel free to post it. Video responses, of course, are welcome. Don't be shy, put yourself in video, and if you don't agree or agree with something I say, you know, post it below. First up, so Tim Cook came on stage. I thought his performance was good. He was confident in what he was saying. He did make a few kind of Steve Jobs momentish where he was like saying, isn't that beautiful, or some of the stuff that Steve would say, those marketing things, isn't that gorgeous or isn't that beautiful. He said that quite a few times. And then of course Phil Schiller also came on stage, and I thought he was a bit more confident. He wasn't nervous, he was making a few jokes, and just the general, I think he's kind of now got to grips with coming on stage, even although he's kind of been a marketing person all his life in Apple. But again, he just seemed to be much more stronger, and of course that's a good thing for doing these presentations, because the last thing you want to see is someone just kind of reading or just not entertaining the crowd at all. So they started off with the figures like they always do, and one of the most interesting things that came out was 75% of revenue from retail stores, or their online store combined I think it was, 75% of those revenues came from people buying iOS devices, iPads, iPod Touches, iPhones, and then that figure makes you think, why on earth do they need to concentrate on the Macs? And you know, people saying the Mac Pro is going to die. After kind of looking at those figures, it does make you question why work on such. It's kind of going each quarter for the iOS section, and business sense. Why make something when it's just, you know, kind of going downhill? I say going downhill, but when they release the Mac sales, they're growing each quarter as well compared to the Windows side. And the reason why they kind of went over this figure is because right at the start they kind of went over the post-PC area, or started to talk about it, and that kind of set the stage for the iPad 3. Well, as much as post-PC and so on, I could never use or think about the iPad as a pro device. I could not do the movie stuff as it is on an iPad. I would never say, do you know what, I don't need an iMac anymore, or a MacBook Air or Pro, because iOS is for me. It's for probably most people just doing emails, Twitter, Facebook, listening to music, that's fine. But there is a reason why there's always kind of a pro market. There is a reason why there's 25% of people still buying kind of Macs, if that's what you want to say. I mean, Steve Jobs back at the D8 conference said, you know, the PC or the personal computer is going to be like a truck come the near future, but trucks still exist today. You know, trucks, transport, whatever. There's not, given trucks versus cars, there's only a few trucks, but there is kind of a demand, there is a market for there, and I don't see anyone ditching their hardcore multi-screen setup for you know, 9.7 inch screen. Don't see it happening. Might just be me, but you know, what are your thoughts? Have you given up your Mac for an iPad entirely? Are you using both? And one of the things that Tim Cook also stated was they interviewed people who had an iPad, who had an iMac, and that person, when they wanted to go for email, they would go here. That might just be ridiculous, but for me, if I get an email on my iPhone, or you know, if I'm sitting at my desk, I get an email, I might check it on the iPhone, but I always come back to the Mac to reply to that email or go through it in detail. I would never want to say, hey, you know, I want to type on this tiny-ish keyboard. It's always just better on the full, you know, kind of bigger screen. You can see the full thing, you can go through the previous stuff, easily navigate through it, and then you've got the actual keyboard as well. So I don't know where they're pulling those figures from, but they just kind of sounded daft to me. They also talked about Siri and how it would look in different accents. Surprisingly, they never touched upon the Scottish accent. They went over Australian accent, and they, for some reason or another, decided it would be cool to let us know it's available in Japan for some odd reason at this event. But hey, I would rather appreciated, you know, if they said, hey, there's a new build out. That would have been nice, or the final build, which they said would be this year. It was also kind of good because they introduced hardware right at the start. In the 17th minute, they introduced the iPad 3, and the Apple TV was just kind of like, it just came out of nowhere. Oh yeah, we're releasing an Apple TV, same as the current generation, or the second generation, same black small box, 1080p streaming, iCloud. The interface has been changed, which looks much nicer. Same price point, which is what I like about Apple stuff. So if you've been holding it for an Apple TV, it's not an iTV, it's not a revolutionary TV at the moment. And then came the announcement of the actual iPad 3. Now I'm not going to go over the specs because they're on the screen and you already know about this stuff. The thing that secures an iPad 3 in my household, I'm not saying for me personally, is the screen. I don't really care about the graphics. They're nice, they're quad-core graphics, is what they quoted. Nvidia said they would challenge or try to see if what they did say it's faster than the Tegra chipsets or whatever. The processor, I believe, is still not quad-core. They made it out to be, but it's still a dual-core chip. It doesn't have Siri, which is surprising. I really thought Siri would be on there. They've got voice dictation or something or another. But then again, when I think about it, they probably realise it's a bit of a mess at the moment, Siri. Here's the thing, let's say Siri comes in final build or a really polished off build in 3, 4, 5, 6 months. Will it still be capable of Siri? So would there be a Siri update to the iPad 3 once it comes out? That would be interesting to find out, and I'm sure once it does arrive next week, people are going to be digging into it saying, is it Siri enabled? It's also got the 4G LTE. It's a shame because we won't be able to use it here in the UK, the United Kingdom. It's going to be kind of beneficial for you guys in the States because you're going to get ridiculous speeds, you know, when out the house, when not on a Wi-Fi network. So for those of you thinking, if you want to go out and get one in the US and bring it back to the UK thinking you will get LTE here because you've got a US model, no, that's not the way it's going to work. Put it this way, LTE really doesn't depend on Apple, it's the networks, Orange, O2, 3, so unless they get it, it's just not going to be compatible, so it's kind of a downer on that point. 10 hours battery life, 9 hours on LTE I believe, so it's not really that bad. The screen looked gorgeous when they demoed at the end, and from what the media reps have said, it just looks, you know, really fine. It's really what the iPad 2 should have been. They've also changed the name of the camera on the rear end of the iPad, so it's not called a FaceTime camera or just a camera, it's called an iSight camera now, so they've gone back from iSight to FaceTime and then back to iSight now. And it's 5 megapixels, same as what is found on the iPhone 4S. Does anyone seriously take pictures with this? I don't know. It's probably just me, you know. I've never seen anyone take pictures apart from a few funny images, people using iPads to take pictures at concerts, which is insane. But I guess because they've introduced iPhoto at the event as well, it could be one of those plus ones for all those people who want to edit photos instead of on their Mac. But one of the most interesting things that I found out from the event was the last slide where Tim Cook said, "This is just us getting started, we've got tons of innovation to come," which makes me think, hey, what will that be? The iPhone 5? I hope it's going to be the Macs, to be honest. I really do hope it's going to be iMacs and MacBook Airs and MacBook Pros and not iOS devices. Hey, iPod Touches could be, you know, liquid metal iPod Touches, but I thought that the last slide which Tim Cook done really got us ready or hyped up for 2012. But guys, that is it for this week and Apple. I hope you liked it. I know there wasn't many stories, but it was more of a discussion on what happened at the iPad 3 event, and fingers crossed as we speak, liquid metal MacBook Pros and Mac Airs and iMacs are in production somewhere. We all know where. But yeah, hopefully we'll get them soon. What do you think? Did you get an iPad? Which one did you get? The one I've ordered for the household is on its way. In fact, it's touched down in the UK. 16 gig Wi-Fi. The reason why I went for this is because I can barely fill this one up. I say, you know, I don't use it, it's not really mine, I just kind of pick it up now and then, but it does get used by some of the people now, so it is good for that purpose. And lastly, just before I shut this video off, remember there's 10% off iPad, iPhone, gadget, travel, clothing. All the vests are discounted until Sunday night, hit midnight. There will be no more discount, so make sure you make the most of it. Thanks so much for watching, leave a comment. If you can like it on iTunes, that would be fandabidozy. See you in the next video guys, cheers!